This is, without a doubt, the best table saw push stick ever made, and I'm going to tell you why. Table saw safety is incredibly important, and the first step towards operating a table saw safely is knowing what the risks are. In most people's minds, the number one risk from a table saw is a bad cut or an amputation. What many people don't understand is that injuries from kickbacks are just as common and can be just as debilitating. The third area of table saw injury is kind of a hidden one, and that is stress caused by repetitive motion. In order to properly set up your table saw to do the cuts you need to do, you need to take into account all three of these issues. Before we start talking about push sticks, let's talk about table saws in general. In order to run one safely, it has to be set up properly. On a properly set up table saw, the blade will be perfectly perpendicular to both the T-slots and the fence. This prevents the piece being cut from binding between the blade and the fence. Let's start with the most basic of push sticks, a stick. Although billions of cuts have been done with this type of push stick, they're dangerous for several reasons. First one being, there's nothing to keep your stick from slipping off of the workpiece. And if you happen to encounter the blade with a push stick, it's going to kick back into your palm and can do serious damage. A slight improvement to the basic stick is one with a notch in it. That takes care of the slipping problem. It still doesn't give you much side-to-side control, and you still have the palm problem. There are several styles of commercially available push stick, which are a big improvement over the basic stick. This push stick gives you a good grip on the board, has a little bit of width for control, but still isn't totally stable side to side. The other issue that I have with this type of a stick is that the force of your arm is not being transferred directly to the workpiece, and you're having to strain yourself to keep it straight. This push stick is similar to the one that we make, but it still has some problems. It's very good about getting down closer to the workpiece and giving you a lot of power. You can keep your elbow tucked in to keep from straining your hand. It does have side-to-side motion, which I don't like. Similarly, this particular push stick operates in the same way, but the handle is so high that you do start to get some strain into your upper arm. Going back to regular sticks, this one's made out of maple. It's much wider to give us more control, and it's been rounded off to make it safer on your hand. Of all the ones we've looked at so far, this is probably my favorite. The only issue with this one is it's not very well suited to making narrow cuts. In addition to the push blocks that we've looked at, there are other push blocks available that are primarily used for things like joiners. They really don't work very well on the table saw, mainly because they are slippable, and you have to get very close to the blade in order to use them and push in more than one direction at once. So now let's talk about the best push stick ever. We make this push stick up from parts in a variety of different configurations. The one we use the most is this one. It has an inch in the middle and ½ inch twice on the outside. This push stick has a low center of gravity. It has a long nose to help you control the board, and it has a big lip on the back for pushing. When using this stick, I can set my feet wherever I want to in relationship to the blade based on what I'm cutting. I can get a very good grip on the block, and I can push straight through without straining my upper arm. Most of the time when they happen, kickbacks are very fast. But there are times when you're making a cut and the far end of the block starts to ride up the backside of the blade. Our push stick is very good at controlling that. None of these are any good at all. This is the basic pattern for this push stick that we cut out on our laser. You can just as easily cut it out on a bandsaw. As you can see, we assemble this push stick in multiple variations, and we're not afraid to run them through the saw making very thin cuts. We can always make a new one. So the conclusion of all this is there are a lot of options for push sticks. We like this one. You may like this one. It's not so much about which particular one you use, it's how you use it and how you set up your saw to make sure you're sawing safely in the first place. That's what this is all about, safety. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. Here are some links to our other videos, and if you're ever in the area, come and see us in Decatur, Texas.